Hi, my name's Imogen. I'm from Little Heartbeats, and I am being joined with the lovely mummy,
Sarah.
Sarah. And where are you in the world, Sarah?
I'm in the UK near Portsmouth.
That's down south. Right? I'm useless at geography. That's down right at the
Oh,
bottom.
I am as well, but yeah.
Right down. How is it with you? Are you in a storm? I heard there was a storm with you.
It's really, really windy, but it's not raining at the moment, so that's good.
Oh, that's good. Sarah has very amazingly kindly agreed to take on our 1 minute interview challenge. So we are going to give this a go today. Are you ready?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. On your marks, get set. Let's get to 50 seconds. It's going to go over 1 minute, and I feel it's going to. Oh, it's already going. Go! What point did you Pprom?
At 21 weeks and 3 days.
And what was the outcome of that?
We had our son at 31 weeks, and he's 17 months now and doing well.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
How did you find out about Little Heartbeats?
Through a friend of a friend who'd experienced Pprom years and years ago, and she'd found Little Heartbeats, so through a friend of a friend, which was great.
Are you aware of our new Pprom Little Heartbeats petition?
Yes, I've seen it on the page.
Brilliant. Um, Now, we've spoken before, we've spoken for about 10 minutes after, and I'm going to talk to you, if it's okay, about your experiences on NICU, which is the
Yeah,
neonatal intensive care unit. I always get that mixed
yeah.
up. Because, for those of you who don't know, Sarah spent some time on NICU, and she's very kindly agreed to talk about it. So, how long were you on NICU for?
We were on there for 60 days exactly.
60
Yeah,
days!
yeah.
Wow! And how was like what's the hardest thing for you being on in that situation on NICU?
I think, well, we expected to be on there given that our waters went so early, so, but we didn't have time to have a little look around. So I think the hardest thing for me was kind of, although we were prepared knowing we would be on there, it was a shock of actually seeing our baby wired up and on the oscillator shaking. It was all a bit of a shock. I think I'd rather have had time to have a little look around beforehand. I know
Okay.
there's not always time, but obviously we
Yeah,
had 10 weeks nearly, so I think that was it was just the shock of it, really.
because your waters literally just went unexpectedly. There was no,
Yeah,
which I,
yeah,
I
no
get.
warning.
Yeah, I know that a lot of mums will say, well, yeah, that's kind of how it happened to me. But there was you were at work when it happened.
Yeah, yeah, just sat at my desk and literally just totally went.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so if you don't mind me asking, did you have a C-section or was it, how did you give
Yep,
birth?
I had a C-section at 31 weeks, and that was due to bleeding. Like, kind of, it started at 17 weeks of pregnancy, actually, to be honest, but they don't think that's why my waters went. But yeah, loads of bleeding, in and out, different scans, different checks, loads of monitoring. And then I kind of sort of said, look, I just want the baby now. My body is failing and I'm really scared. So after another big bleed, they decided they'd do a C-section that evening.
Brill.
So yeah,
Okay.
sort of planned, really.
Oh, well done for standing your ground and like knowing that you can like really push for it.
Yeah.
So the baby was taken to, sorry, what's the name of your baby?
Jax.
Jax. So Jax was taken to the care unit. How long was it before you could get to see him?
So he was born at 9:51 that evening, and I didn't see him until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock the next morning.
God,
Um, yeah, he was really critical. My husband waited for hours and hours that night with me, and it got to about 4 a.m. and they came out a couple of times updating us, saying it was really critical. They weren't sure what way it was going to go.
wow, okay.
So
You okay?
sorry.
No, don't worry.
Um,
It's
yeah, it's always weird. Yeah, and then so he waited around a bit longer, and then they came out and said they'd managed to stabilise him,
wow.
and sort of, but we couldn't see him just yet. So it was, I think, about 5 in the morning when my husband had gone home. They offered to take me down in a wheelchair to see him, but
Mm.
I, it sounds awful, but I was just so scared to go in there on my own, not knowing what we were going to be faced with. So I waited a few hours till my husband came back in the morning, and we went down about 9, 10 o'clock to see him.
No, I don't think that sounds awful at all. I think I would be exactly the same.
I feel guilty now because I'm like, he needed me and I was too scared.
Yeah, but like, I don't. Oh, we're gonna go off therapy now. I don't. I think he needed to know that you were going to be in the right place to see him.
Yeah, that's it.
And, you know, it would not have helped him at all, or the staff, if you'd gone in and just bawled. And do you know what I mean? You have to be
Yeah,
ready for that. And absolutely, I think I was a bit. I'm sure everyone watching this will be the exactly same and will send you loads of
yeah.
comments about it. But I would have been the same. I would not have been able to brave it going in
No,
on my
yeah.
own. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, what would you say? You know, you spent all that time with. Did you have to go home, or were you allowed to stay in the hospital?
No, I couldn't stay. So I managed to stay an extra couple of days. I was kind of ready to be discharged myself a bit earlier, but I managed to let them kind of allow me to stay a couple of extra days because I didn't want to leave him there.
Yeah.
But it was, luckily, it's only about 10, 15 minutes in the car for us, the
Wow.
hospital.
Okay, that's all right
So
then.
I just came back every morning to see him and kind of would go home lunchtime, walk the dog, come back, spend all afternoon and evening. My husband would come up after work. So
Yeah.
spent as much time as I could there, but it was hard leaving every day.
Yeah. What would you say was the point that you thought, you know what? I think we're going to be okay here. Was there like
um,
a moment or?
well, I think day 8 he came off. Day 2, I think, actually came off the oscillator, and he was intubated for 8 days. And on day 8, they tried him off of all oxygen, which we were amazed with, considering how critical he was. So that started, you know, I got my hopes up a bit then. But then that evening, he went back on some high flow oxygen. So obviously that was the first setback, which kind of scared us. But I'd say maybe, I don't know, it was a good few weeks, probably a good 4 weeks before I thought, okay, I think he's going to be okay, even if he's on oxygen, and, you know, good
Yeah.
few weeks before I started thinking, okay, we should hopefully be able to take him home at some point.
And what would you say? We're going to round it up. What would you say is the top tip for a mum that's about to be spend however long on NICU? What would you
I
say is?
I'd definitely say make sure you look after yourself. And I know everybody says eat properly, drink enough water, but just get enough rest yourself. I know it's really hard, but I'd say that's really important so you can help look after your baby and be in the best possible place in your own mind, really. And make
Oh,
friends, talk to people on there. That
yeah,
really helped me.
absolutely. Did you make friends with other mums on there?
Yeah, I did. I still speak to a few of them. And yeah, it was really nice. One lady I'm really good friends with who I met on there, and I think that really helps because you've had the same experience and it's someone to chat to.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for talking.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
No
We'll
worries.
talk to you soon. Inspirational and a miracle.
Thank
You've made me
you.
all emotional.
Bye.
Bye, hon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.